great to be here. I'm Chris. This is Nancy. I thought everybody was bringing their dog. But here we go. You're going to love this one. She is financial services watchdog. Beautiful. Far more than enough from me. My role here is to be as good as invisible, so I'm going to do that right now because we have a grandest of grand fromages with us to kick off. The man who has not the smallest of tasks to effectively run everything that is data and digital inside Nat West. Zach, welcome.
Thank you. I think that might be overselling it just a little bit. So.
I'm trying to get a gig with Salesforce as well.
I think you better oversell them then.
So, California, what are you doing over here, man?
Yeah, you can tell from my voice. In 2020, I actually was looking at what I wanted to do with my life after 15 years in gaming, and decided I wanted to join a bank and do something meaningful. And actually, open banking was the reason that I chose the UK. Allison put me in a headlock. But other than that, it was really about what I thought could be done with data here because of open banking. So that's why I came.
We are absolutely delighted that you're here because I think, as we all know, if we get this right, and it's going to be half of the big players like you, it will not just be for finance, it will be for the whole of the country. So almost 5 years into this journey, how do you think it's been for customers so far?
I mean, it's pretty amazing when you look at just the plain stats of something like 10% of the adult population is using open banking. That's pretty incredible. And also a little disappointing, probably. So both things are true in my mind. As we talked about at the index, actually you guys, not me. I have inherited a great set of tools in the open banking rules and standards and CMA 9. I just think we need to go further and faster.
And if you were to score that now, after almost 5 years, how would you rate it out of 10?
Out of 10. I don't know. I would say the first 3 years a 10, and the last 2 years maybe a 5.
That's fair. And as with all of our inventions, more than 20 countries now set up their open banking framework. What do you think we need to do in the UK to keep ahead of the curve, and what are you doing at NatWest in that space?
I'll speak about NatWest first. We believe that it's the future of our bank, and that we're investing in that. We're funding things like this to be able to help guide us on where we should be going. But I think for me, it's we have to expand the number of participants. We have to think really carefully about where real value is going to be generated, and we need to experiment. Right now we're one of the first banks to be doing variable recurring payments. We're selling customer attributes and verification based on the open banking standards. Those are, I think, big things that we need a lot more participants in to be able to make a market of one. It's nice to be first. Certainly I say that to the executive committee, but we can't make a market by ourselves. So we need to get moving. And I think we need, as an industry and a country, we have to set more standards around that and keep going.
And what else do you say? I think if you're right in highlighting it is a mission. There's no two ways about it. What else do you think we need in that broader mission?
We have to get, I think that I said it, we have to get beyond the CMA 9. We need a much broader set of participants in the marketplace. I think some of the other countries have set some nice standards like reciprocity, which is if you consume, you produce. I think some of those things are things that we need to be actively doing, not just debating.
And we see from the research from the index, the critical importance of the mandate in that initial stages. What do we need to do then now to have that self-sustaining approach? And that was difficult to say, even though I haven't even drunk anything other than water. So I'm not even going to ask any of you lot to try and say self-sustaining. Don't even try it, not even at home. To be self-sustaining now, really keep this ecosystem going, having had such a good start with that initial mandate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. So I won't say that increased. I mean, that there's a couple of things that I think about a lot, which is, when we're doing something like variable recurring payments, it's actually quite a hard business case to sell inside the bank. Not because it's not a good idea, not because we don't think it's the future of what we're doing, but it's quite a hard business case because the first mover can't make the market. There's not, the people wanting to consume it don't want to invest in consuming it and connecting to us. And it just doesn't work in flows for FinTechs, and so it's a very hard thing to get going. If we had clearer mandates around real valuable areas like that, I think that we would be able to overcome some of those things. Or if we had broader participation, then people that are making the investments on either side could see a long-term market that has a much more surety to it. And right now, that's not clear. Not clear to my executives, certainly probably not clear to all of yours.
And to that end, and I very much recognise that situation, how much do these issues come up in ExCo conversations, in board conversations, in conversations when you discuss with your other CDO peers outside the bank? How much is this being discussed?
I mean, well, the difficulties are being discussed a lot, I think. I think we've done a lot of discussion in some of the joint committees. I mean, some of the consultative committees, but I don't think we're getting a resolution. It's one of these frustrating things where you can see the market, you can see what's happening, and it's actually not that hard to get a path forward. Certainly not technically, it's not hard. But we have a collective action problem to solve. And I think coming from the States, and we talked about where the States is at, I think the States gives us a dangerous precedent, which is that a lot of the activity happening in the States is being driven by the largest companies, by BigTech, because they can go out and sign partnerships broadly, they can set their own standards, and they have incredible resources to do that. And that's not, the goal here is to generate competition and to generate innovation. That is not a way to generate innovation, but they're all looking at our marketplace and saying, it's pretty close. If we invested some, we might be able to get it over the hump. And just look at Apple's activities. And I'm a big fan of Apple, but I just think that's not necessarily a highly competitive market that we all want. It's certainly not a FinTech market that I think we're trying to create here. And so that worries me.
That is a very good point to highlight what actually is an effective innovation ecosystem. I thought I was mishearing something you said there. It almost sounded like you said pre-2020 the US gave themselves a dangerous president.
I'll stay away from that one.
I'm mishearing things now. It's all the senses are going.
I don't think we want to get into a battle instead of comparing leaders here.
No, exactly. I think we're all on a bit of a time of it. But the great thing is that's all in the rearview mirror, folks. It's all sunny uplands now. It really is. So as you mentioned problems, we might as well pull another one out of the bag. I think this is a big one for me, and it certainly came out in the index, differentiating where you could see the whole question of digital ID and countries that had done, shall we say, a better job on that than the UK. So what are your thoughts all around the whole digital ID question, and how will your APIs get into that space?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one that certainly looms big in my mind, and certainly in our discussions. I mean, the number I think is 300 million digital ID calls in the UK, and Sweden alone is 9 billion to the bank IDs there. Just a massive difference. And I think that, again, we have some choices. I mean, certainly the big tech companies want to provide IDs, and they're racing towards that. I think, as a bank, the banks invest hundreds of millions in generating and verifying identity every day as part of the regulations. It would be a huge boon to us profitability-wise if we could offset that by leveraging that and making it more widely available. But I think it would be a huge boon to, again, the innovation, the startups, the whole of society. But I'm extremely excited about the opportunity that presents. I'm also very worried that it's an even bigger collective action problem than expanding from CMA9 or many of the other collective action problems that we have to solve. So, as I said, we're racing ahead. We're investing a lot internally to prepare our systems for single digital ID, clean up 300 years of bank IDs inside of our own bank, and we're stepping towards that with attribute verification, age verification as parts of our services. So we have a very strong position that I think we would like to have a digital ID available in the UK for lots of good reasons, for society, for ourselves, for competition. We'd obviously prefer to be playing as part of that and have a revenue source, but actually we'd be quite okay if it didn't. But again, it's a big collective action problem that I think I don't see a path to overcoming that right now. There's lots of good innovations, but there's no lighthouses that everybody's jumping on.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, you put your finger on it. It is such a critical element, not just to open banking, but clearly to all fintech, to all of the advantages that we can potentially take from all the new technologies. So I think that's well identified. And on that, open banking, expanding to a wider array of product. Excited by that? What are you going to be doing at NatWest in that sense?
I mean, we have a quite a long. These first two forays are just dipping our toe in the water. We have quite a long list of products and APIs that we'll be bringing out as part of our future roadmap. So I think we've seen great engagement on the first couple areas, and we have good market evidence and interest from more, and we'll be continuing to drive this forward. Again, it's a part of our stated strategy is to drive fee revenue through our open banking APIs.
On that specific, in terms of product in the open banking space, what's difficult? We're amongst friends on that point. Share some of the kind of horror moments and the staring at your shoes moments, if you'd like to.
I don't know. A lot of them are in the bank because we're displacing products that the bank already sells. So that makes it a tough conversation at times to decide to displace something that's being delivered through another means. But I think we have to. You look around at other industries. I think about Ophoto and Kodak a lot in that, and they were the first to be able to upload digital photos. But the problem is they told you had to print them out or continue to keep them. Just wrong market-wise, but didn't get on them. Didn't see where things were going or how it worked, and took their old business models and their old revenue streams as a means to protect them. And I think we have to be bolder than that. Those are probably the biggest, on a day-to-day basis, those are the biggest challenges we face when we actually get something to market, get the technology sorted out. The response from the marketplace, I think, is quite exciting. It's the best part of the job is when you put something live and people are knocking down your door to get it and asking you about how to integrate it and where you're going, what your roadmap is. That's pretty exciting. So I think actually the hardest parts are internal.
For sure, probably as you raised Kodak, probably only fair to give a shout out to Blockbuster as well.
They just got it wrong. That's the thing that I think about Ophoto is Ophoto and Kodak is, they were in the wrong business, but actually they sold more digital cameras than anybody else. They dominated the digital camera market. They created the first photo sharing app, and then blew it because what they were trying to do was protect their chemical business as opposed to recognizing that they should abandon that and move to something totally new. So that's the warning. And coming from gaming, it's an industry where there are thousands of new companies launched a year, and more thousands fail and more games fail, and so I'm quite nervous all the time about missing what the next trend is and making strategic choices that really impact the company. So.
That's a good nervousness to have, I think. And in that, I think we all want open banking to become a family phenomena, a community phenomena. What are the difficulties in standing up a family product in this space?
Product. I don't think that. I think fundamentally, although there's some good innovations in the marketplace right now, but I think fundamentally we don't think about network relationships as the way we think about finance. And you can see it in the way even the big banks were built, right? They're built on accounts that are immutable for your whole life. They don't have any concept of changing those accounts. It's really hard to add somebody to your account, which is kind of crazy. I'd love to add my nanny to the account and then be able to drop her when I get a new nanny or when she leaves. But that's a really difficult thing to do. So these kind of ideas that accounts and sharing of both the data and the payments is fluid and changes on a regular basis, and we all have network relationships, is not built into the way the account structures are built right now, and not built into the way I think people think about finance very often. But it's the way we want the world to work, right?
Final question, it's the biggie. 2023, it's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be a massive year across financial services, a massive year for banking. How do you see it? How are you going to navigate through it? What do you want to be able to say to me when we speak at this point next year?
I would love to say that the JROC had really clear mandates. That's what I would really love to say. I think that would set a standard forward for us, and that we had a much larger expectation of market participation within the next couple of years for open banking, I think those are really fundamental for us to be able to even get to anything like what the ambition is around open finance. And so I'd love to see from there a path forward, and also a focus on where there's real value in the marketplace. I think we have enough participants in the ecosystem now that can give their voice to where there's real value. But we have to listen to them, and we have to take the use cases and ideas that they have and push those into those mandate spaces.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who clearly is and will, and we all need him to be, a massive player in this open banking space. Give a big, up in the clouds, whoop-de-dup-dup, round of applause, Zach Anderson.